Good evening, this is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Asma Uba. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. President Barrow hosted a press conference on Monday on Gambia's state of preparedness for the hosting of the OIC Summit. The Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, President Barrow, on Sunday presided over the 16th convocation of the University of the Gambia. Ahead of the OIC Summit next month, the Chief Executive Officer of Malik Mendy Tailoring has spoken about the impact the OIC Summit will have on the Gambia and the economy. The General Manager of the Gambia Ferry Services, Abdullahi Tambaidu, restated government's regret over the current suspension in ferry services. And in international news, the UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has pledged that the country's first deportation flights to Rwanda could leave in 10 to 12 weeks. Those and other stories coming up. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. President Barrow hosted a press conference on Monday on Gambia's state of preparedness for the hosting of the OIC Summit. While answering questions from journalists, the President underscored our country's readiness to host and leverage on the opportunities presented by this summit for the Gambia's socio-economic development. QTV's Mohamed Amin Choi was at the press conference and he has the latest.
Journalists gathered the State House having in store several questions on Gambia's preparedness for the hosting of the OIC Summit. Hosting this press conference to respond to questions is President Adama Barrow, who has been leading our country's journey towards hosting the 15th OIC Summit.
I think we are ready to host. We are doing everything possible to make sure we host a very successful OIC Summit. We are hosting a very big event that have never happened in our history. 57 countries is not small. We are expecting delegates of between 3,000 to 4,000 delegates.
It is finally going to happen. But the road to that success has been riddled with hurdles that President Barrow and his government had to surmount. According to the President, in the face of such a situation, the Gambia nevertheless stuck to its goals and targets to take up its rightful position to host the summit.
There were other suggestions that they gave me, so that we can hire tents, hire a ship, and host it. We don't want it that way. There were other suggestions also. Other countries wanted us to host it in their countries. But we said no. That will defeat our purpose. That's not what we want. We want to host it in the Gambia so that the whole world will know Gambia, and also they will see our culture, tradition, and also interact with our people. So this is what we wanted. That's why. But definitely there were challenges, because to host this program is not small. You need a lot of resources. That's what we are doing all these past years, to mobilize resources. And we are able to mobilize resources. We succeeded in that. And now we have implemented our projects. Some of our projects are completed, some are not completed. But overall, we are very happy that we can host this conference.
Ranging from the infrastructure development to boosting Gambia's international standing in the Committee of Nations, the OIC Summit, with its impact, live on before, during, and after the event. As the chairman of the OIC, President Adama Barrow expresses commitment to tapping into the benefits that will come with his leadership role.
And there is other further benefits in this, because Gambia will be chair for 3 years. And for that 3 years, the bilateral relationship, because we are chairs, that means we engage all these OIC countries. If there is any issue that have anything to do with the OIC, Gambia will be sitting there as chair to manage the affairs of the OIC. So I think that is very important for us, and it's big for us. And also we will be hosting other meetings. This is just one of them. We will be hosting other meetings in the country, and Gambia will benefit. Even the hosting, only if you have about 3,000 delegates, you know how much money will come into the Gambia? How much resources? How will that benefit? Our foreign currency. It grew our economy. So it's a big, big, big achievement for us.
Security and safety of our guests and the country are among the questions from journalists given the magnitude and significance of the summit. President Barrow reveals government's efforts to provide the largest security deployment in Gambia's history for the hosting of the summit.
For security reasons, but we are deploying nothing less than 3,000, 4,000 on the ground or more. So we are putting a lot of resources as far as security is concerned. And we are working with other countries also, bilateral countries, who are also supporting us. One of them is Morocco, and we have other countries also who are really partnering with us, and we have also used some of our resources to make sure that we empower our security and build their capacity.
It is less than 2 weeks before the 15th OIC summit in the Gambia, and preparations have reached the climax after several postponements. President Adama Barrow's message is that the Gambia is fully prepared to successfully host the world's second largest gathering of world leaders. Mahmoud Lamin Toye, QTV News, State House in Banjul.
The Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, President Barrow, on Sunday presided over the 16th convocation of the University of the Gambia. As Zainab Sonko reports, the ceremony saw the conferment of degrees and diplomas over 1,300 students.
Established by an Act of Parliament in March 1999, the University of the Gambia serves as a powerhouse for the transformation of the Gambia through the creation, application, and transfer of knowledge. This convocation saw students graduate in various disciplines such as mathematics, nursing, medicine, engineering, computer science, political science, amongst others. The President of the Gambia and Chancellor of the University, President Adama Barrow, highlighted that the UTG graduates serve as change agents and contributors to sustainable development in the Gambia and vows to continue providing support to the institution.
If there are graduates who have never reflected on how to contribute effectively to transforming the conditions of their families, communities, and nation, this is the moment of inspiration for you to devote part of your life to this very challenging aspect of responsible citizenship. Nation building requires genuine patriotic change agents to identify, initiate, and guide the necessary change process.
After 34 years of existence, the UTG now has a permanent campus comprising of business and public administration, arts and sciences, education and information technology and communication, and a library named after the late Vice President, Dr. Badara Aliujuv. What other successes have been registered at the university? Here is the Vice Chancellor of the UTG, Professor Haj Robinson.
With a student population of 6,719, the university successfully delivered 54 undergraduate programs, 22 postgraduate master's programs, and 4 PhD programs in agronomy, climate change, education, public administration, and law. For the enrollment of new students in 2023, in January, the university received 996 applications, admitted 562 students due to limited space and infrastructure.
Keba Seka, a computer science graduate and a valedictorian, is the last born and first to gain university education in his family, inspiring the younger generation.
Another challenging and turning point of my education journey was transitioning from the arts field at high school to one of the STEM disciplines at university, in my case, computer science. I knew at the back of my mind that I needed to brush up my math skills and needed to put in double the effort required to have any chance of succeeding in this discipline. Through hard work, sacrifice, self-discipline, and perseverance.
With over 1,300 graduates in a country with an unemployment rate of 35.2%, with youth unemployment at 42.1%, President Adama Barrow launched the maiden National Youth Service Scheme graduate program in September last year. According to the president, the long-term plan is to make the National Youth Service Scheme graduate program compulsory and a precondition for employment in the civil service. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Pasonko.
Now, ahead of the OIC Heads of State Summit next month, the Chief Executive Officer of Malik Mendy Tailoring has spoken about the impact the OIC Summit will have on the Gambia and the economy. Julden Jai visited the Malik Mendy Tailoring at Bakau Newtown, and this is her report.
As one of the most dedicated entrepreneurs in promoting youth empowerment and employment in the country, Malik Mendy Tailoring's contribution towards the Gambia hosting a successful summit is important. The tailoring company is contracted for the production of high-standard uniforms for members of the security. Here is Malik Mendy, the Chief Executive Officer of Malik Mendy Tailoring Limited.
10-20 years back, all these uniforms are going to be ordered outside of the country. But you see today, these are uniforms for the state guards, which we are doing. And those suits are for the drivers of the OIC. And you have the security, police security also, all what we are doing here, and we are just doing them in less than a month.
Mr. Mendy assures that the sewing of all uniforms will be completed and delivered by the end of this week.
When it comes to quality, the machine I'm using is the same machine doing it outside. There is nothing different. If you can check like the double stitch machine, the buttonholing machines, all is what you are getting outside. If you check my uniform right now, inside and other uniforms, they are almost the same. If it's not the tag, right, Malik Mendy Tailoring, somebody give it to you, put another tag made in China, you will believe that it's made in China. There is no difference.
On the ongoing infrastructure development for the hosting of the summit, Mr. Mendy has this to say.
OIC Bureau, the chief executive and their members, I know they are going to deliver, because you will not know if you don't engage with them, working with them. But when you are working with them, you will know that they are working day and night. If I tell you this contract was signed on a Sunday, we can tell you how much they are working.
The CEO of this tailoring venture calls for attitudinal change during and after the summit, especially in waste management.
You check up this highway they build, we have to maintain them clean. But still, day before yesterday, I was on the highway going, but somebody just threw a canned drink. The car in front of me, they throw a canned drink on the highway. How can you do that? We have to try and maintain that discipline.
Malik Mendy Tailoring has won contracts from the government and the private sector for the production of security badges, logos, epaulets, caps, and promotional items. He has this advice for young people.
All these people are ladies. Where are the boys? They are on the back way or sitting under the mango tree, thinking of going outside. Only the girls are ready to make it. And it's very sad. Where are the boys? No boys here. If you rely on the boys, then you fail. Sorry to say, but you will fail. I think right now, that's why I'm encouraging to train more and more.
Mr. Mendy currently employed more than 70 staff, and most of them Gambians. Founded in 1987, Malik Mendy Tailoring also focuses on stitching women and men's suits, European-style dresses, badges, hand gloves, and security guard uniforms. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
That story by Julden Jai will take us to a commercial break, but when we return, we have more stories for you. Do stay tuned.
The third edition of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Investment Forum will be held in the Gambia under the auspices of His Excellency President Adama Barrow and the OIC Secretary General on Thursday, 2nd and 3rd May 2024 at the Kairaba Hotel.
Welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome
to Banjul.
The golden opportunity to the smiling coast of Africa will bring together presidents of international financial institutions, including ISDB, AFDB, Badia, Afrexim Bank, Fagas, and others. The Investment Forum will also convene the highest level of economic and investment actors across the 57 OIC member countries from both the public and private sector to explore investment opportunities in the Gambia and promote economic growth and job creation. All that in these will include senior government actors, 60 top international investors, employers' federations, chambers of commerce, professional associations, bankers, and insurers.
We welcome the investors to come and invest into the Gambia. We are open for business.
Don't miss the chance to be part of this transformative process.
Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace, and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture, and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Asma Uba. Now, the General Manager of the Gambia Ferry Services, Abdoulaye Tambadou, on Saturday restated government's regret over the current suspension in ferry services. He was speaking during an interview with QTV's Ansumana Isunyasi, in which he gave an update on the ongoing maintenance work on the Kunta Kinte and Kanilai ferries.
Having halted operations earlier this week following technical breakdowns, which resulted in the disruption of ferry services on the Banjul-Bara crossing, government, through the Gambia Ports Authority and Ferry Services Management, have commenced maintenance work on the Kunta Kinte and Kanilai ferries. It comes barely 4 days after the President's surprise visit to the ferry terminal, where he engaged engineers, staff of GPA and ferry services in a bid to gather first-hand information for effective measures to address the disruption in services. As he updates us on the progress, Abdoulaye Tambadou, the General Manager of Ferry Services, apologizes to the public for the ongoing disruption to their services. He says government is committed to ensuring that operations resume as soon as possible.
I think all of us would learn from this, from everybody in the ports, Gambia Ports Authority, and the Gambia Ferry Services. We are sorry to the general public, and then we promise them that this thing would not happen again, God willing, inshallah.
He also reveals that the Kanilai ferry, which was stuck along the river after it drifted off the landing site at Bara, is finally back in Banjul and will also soon undergo a complete overhaul.
As far as Kanilai is concerned, it drifted last week Friday after the tide was high. The ferry floated and it sailed back to Banjul last night by 9:30 to 10 p.m. Most, if not all, of the vehicle owners have already been contacted, and they have all collected their vehicles, except, I believe, 1 or 2 vehicles that have not yet been collected. After the collection of all the vehicles, we would moor the ferry Kanilai, and once the ferry Kunta Kinte becomes operational, we would also start the work on ferry Kanilai.
Meanwhile, he expresses optimism that once the maintenance work is done, such interruptions will be a thing of the past.
I think in the next week or 2, we will resume service. We would ensure the crossing is safe. All boat Kunta Kinte, of course, will be back first, and then we have Kanilai. But both of them would be strengthened in such a way with new engines, new propulsion, and rehabilitated propulsion systems. And then the problems of
everyday press releases here and there would be a thing of the past.
As part of efforts to end the frequent disruptions to the ferry services and improve service on the Banjul-Barra crossing, the government recently signed a contract with Damen Shipyards Group for the construction of 2 new ferries to be delivered in 16 months. It is hoped that once those 2 ferries arrive, the country will no longer experience interruptions in the ferry service, at least for the foreseeable future. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
Alpha's travel agency on Saturday conducted a comprehensive orientation for intending pilgrims for the 2024 Hajj in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. Lena Igwenyiba tells us more.
These intending pilgrims are gearing up for a significant journey, a pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, as they aim to fulfill one of Islam's fundamental pillars, obligatory for those with the means to do so. This is a day-long orientation and simulation for intending pilgrims, many of whom are embarking on this journey for the first time. Ajamatida Jaju Alfa's travel agency Hajj coordinator and Sheikh Ustaz Ibrahim Cham, an Islamic scholar, briefed the pilgrims on expectations in Mecca, dress code and the Hajj itinerary. We always leave early before Hajj start. The Hajj process is not long. We move from our place to go to Mina. When you put on your ihram cloth in Medina, it stays on you throughout that period. You will not remove it. If you mistakenly cut your fingernails, you will have to slaughter an animal to compensate for that.
Gannaaw ñu ne waroo dog benn kawar waroo dagg benn we waroo dindi dara ci sa yaram kon boy waaj omra da ngay génne yooyu yëpp.
As they told you, you should not cut a single hair, you should not cut any nail, you should not remove anything from your body. When preparing for Umrah, you have to remove all of these. Make sure your underarm hair is shaved, your hair below your navel is trimmed, and your nails are cut. If you are a man, your mustache should be removed, but you should not touch a single hair from your beard. A man should grow his beard. Maybe you should make it neat and nice, but not totally remove it. A man wears ihram. If it's white, it's best. If it is red or black, no one will tell you it's haram, but white is the best. That's why everyone uses white, and for women, what they wear should cover their entire body.
The orientation also featured a practical simulation of Hajj rites, offering first-time pilgrims a hands-on experience of the journey ahead. Participants learned how to wear the pilgrims' garments, called ihram, perform the symbolic stoning of the devil at the Jamra, and go around anti-clockwise a makeshift Kaaba while reciting essential prayers. As part of the preparations, each pilgrim received 3 suitcases and their passports. Additionally, Alpha's travel agency will travel with a doctor to attend to the health needs of the pilgrims. The pilgrims will depart from Mecca with the full support and guidance of Alpha's travel agency to ensure a safe and spiritually fulfilling pilgrimage experience. Reporting for KTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
From local, let's now take a look at international news in a moment. The UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has pledged that the country's first deputation flights to Rwanda could leave in 10 to 12 weeks. His government's Rwanda policy, a key pre-election pledge, has run into a parliamentary deadlock ahead of an election expected later this year. Here is the report.
According to African News, Sunak made the comments at a news conference, making his case directly to the public after vowing last week that Parliament will remain in session until the legislation is passed. The unelected House of Lords has repeatedly held up the legislation allowing authorities to deport some asylum seekers to Rwanda in fulfillment of a campaign promise to stop the boats that bring migrants to UK illegally. The Prime Minister said he will force the new legislation through despite the opposition. Enough is enough, he said, as he told reporters that commercial charter planes are booked to carry asylum seekers. He declined to provide details when asked how many people were expected
to be on the flight in the coming months. We are ready, plans are in place, and these flights will go what may. No foreign court will stop us from getting flights off, he said. Tens of thousands of migrants, many feeling wars and poverty in Africa, the Middle East and Asia, have reached Britain in recent years by crossing the English Channel in small boats on risky journeys organized by people's smuggling gangs. The governing Conservative Party expects its Rwanda policy to send a clear signal to would-be migrants that it isn't worth the risk of crossing the English Channel on leaky, inflatable boats. The bill has been stalled for 2 months as it bounced back and forth between the two houses of parliament, with the Lords repeatedly offering amendments that were then rejected by the Commons. The Lords don't have the power to kill the legislation, but they can delay it, causing some concern to Conservative Party strategists who want to ensure the policy becomes operational before the general election later this year. The Rwanda deportation plan was first announced by Boris Johnson in April 2022, but is yet to become operational 2 years later. Alex Carlile, an independent member of the House of Lords, said the amendments are designed to improve ill-judged, badly drafted, inappropriate legislation that is illegal in current UK and international law. He told the BBC that what Rishi Sunak is asking Parliament to do is say that an untruth is a truth. Human rights groups say it is immoral and inhuman to send people more than 6,400 kilometers to a country they don't want to live in. On the other hand, the ruling Conservative Party sees the scheme as a potential vote winner. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.